Hey everyone, I'm Rob and welcome to the test drive. Today, I am driving the 2017 Audi Q3. So every German automaker is doing something in this space where you're too small to be an SUV, but you're too big or maybe have too much ground clearance to be a hatchback. So what do you even call these cars? Do you call them small SUVs, small crossovers? I mean, I personally don't like the term crossover, but that's probably what this is, and probably most accurately suits this Audi Q3 because it really isn't an SUV, not to me. But Mercedes has their entry in this space with the GLA, and BMW's in this space with the BMW X1. So we're going to start with the exterior of the 2017 Audi Q3. From the outside, this is, at least to me, a very attractive small car. It looks a lot like the Q5, but it's just smaller, and it shares a platform with the Porsche Macan, which it shares a lot of the shape and exterior elements with as well. So, you know, this does look like an Audi version of the Porsche Macan, and that's because it pretty much is. But again, it's designed very nicely. It clearly looks like an Audi. The one that I'm driving has some nice looking 18-inch rims. These tail lights look sweet. Like, I love the idea of passing someone on the highway at night and having them see those are the tail lights to pass them. I don't know, they look very cool. And you know, the headlights are great as well. And overall, I mean, it's a good looking car from the outside. When you look at it, it's very appealing. Now when you get into the interior, it again looks pretty good. You know, it's an attractive interior. The controls and everything look like an Audi, and they look nice. They look high quality. But I don't know how much I really like the interior. The seats are pretty good. I have to say that the seats are comfortable. This leather is quite soft. I really have no issue with it at all. But the steering wheel is, to me, pretty disappointing because it's really not soft at all. It really doesn't provide the driver with any comfort. It's very hard, and it feels just like the steering wheel in the Volkswagen Tiguan that I tested, and it also feels like the steering wheel in the Passat. I mean, those two cars basically have the same steering wheel, and this feels just like it. And I think that's one of the issues that I have with this car, is that it kind of feels like a Volkswagen. And I get it with the price, because this car starts at $32,900. So it is priced almost like a Volkswagen. But it feels like a Volkswagen too, and that's really where I have an issue, because I've driven A4s and S4s, and this doesn't feel like that at all. It just feels, you know, the steering's not as tight. It just feels very much like a Volkswagen when you're driving it. The ride quality as well, it's fine, but you do feel the bumps. It just doesn't feel like an expensive ride. It doesn't feel as refined as what I'd expect in an Audi. For how small this car is, the interior does have a decent amount of space. You know, I feel pretty comfortable up front here. The back seat is not bad. I can sit behind myself pretty comfortably. The trunk is pretty small, but has a decent enough amount of room. It's not gonna fit a set of golf clubs very well, but it'll fit suitcases okay. You know, again, I mean, you can fold the seats down to give you that additional room, but it's not big. It's not something you can cram 5 people into with luggage and go on a road trip. It's just not meant for that. I do like that you have a panoramic moonroof in this Audi. It just opens it up. I think you really need that in a small SUV like this to make it feel more open and a little bit bigger than it actually is. And some of the controls in here are kind of weird too, because you know, you have this scroll button that basically controls your infotainment system, if that's what you want to call it. And you know, it's weird. I don't like the placement of it. I wish the placement was somewhere near the gear shift, like you would see in a BMW or even in the Nissan Maxima, where you have that scroll wheel. It's down here instead of up here. It's just awkward to reach up here and use the scroll wheel. You might as well just have normal buttons. The purpose of the scroll wheel is to have it, you know, within a very comfortable reach. I mean, you shouldn't have to actually reach for it. So it's kind of weird. And then your climate controls are okay. I mean, I like the fact that you have dual zone climate control, and you know, it looks fine, but I don't like these weird adjusters for the temperature. I would rather it was a button or something. And the whole setup down here just feels kind of cheap. Now, getting to the infotainment system, at least in the Q3 that I'm driving. Now, I know you can get navigation in it. Mine does not have it. Every time you hit the navigation button, it just tells you that the navigation system's not available. But I really don't care for the setup of the system at all. I mean, the menus are kind of weird. You know, this doesn't even have HD radio, which just kind of gives you some info about the stations that it can if you're on FM radio. I don't think it's set up very well. It's not set up very cleanly. It really feels like this system is behind some of what it competes against. I mean, if you look at BMW's iDrive system, it's very sophisticated and it looks really good. And this one, it just seems like it's 10 years old. It's very antiquated the way that it's set up. And there's no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in the Q3 that I'm driving. This does have a backup camera standard, and it also has front and rear parking sensors, so that does help. But it's a small car. It wouldn't be difficult to maneuver without those features, but it's just nice that it has them, and you're starting to see that in really every car now, at least the backup camera. But it's nice as the front sensors too. The screen in between the speedometer and the tachometer is decent, I guess. You know, I wish it had some more functionality, but it's not bad. I like that you have an electronic speedometer in there. That's nice. Then there's the fact that the Q3 that I'm driving, this, again, it must be more of a base model, but they do call it the Premium. You know, you have the Premium and the Premium Plus, and this Premium model doesn't have push-button start. You actually have to insert a key to start the engine. It doesn't have keyless entry, so you do have to press lock and unlock on your remote to actually get in the car. Again, it's just weird. I mean, you have base models of Nissans and, you know, other cars that have those. So, you know, it's just, when I first saw this car and then I got in it and I realized all the things that were missing in it, you know, it was a little bit of a letdown, because there are some features that I just would have expected to be standard in an Audi. Now, getting to the performance of the 2017 Audi Q3. This is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that is mated to a 6-speed automatic and has all-wheel drive. This engine puts out 200 horsepower and 207 pound-feet of torque. which is pretty much identical to the Volkswagen Tiguan. This is significantly smaller than the Tiguan, but you can see how Audi is sharing engines between Volkswagens and Audis. And at least to me, I'm not a fan. And this Q3, while it gets up at a decent pace, it just feels underpowered. I think that in 2017, for a 2-liter turbo, 200 horsepower and 207 pound-feet of torque is kind of disappointing. In the Escape, you have 245 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque in their 2-liter 4-cylinder EcoBoost engine, and it's just like it feels like the engine is just antiquated. I mean, it feels fine. It gets up fine, but they could put a lot more into this, and they could put a more powerful engine in this. It doesn't need to be a 6-cylinder, but it could definitely be a more powerful 4-cylinder, because, if you look at the BMW X1, if you look at the Mercedes GLA class, those are significantly more powerful. Those 4-cylinder turbocharged engines are significantly more powerful than what you get in this Audi. So while there are some things that I like about this Audi, at least for me, I don't think it's a car that I would buy, at least not for myself. And, I wish there was more to say about it, but it lacks a lot of features that I would expect in an Audi, and, there's really nothing else to review in this car. I've pretty much reviewed everything that it has, so it is what it is. It's not a bad car, but it has a long way to go, compared to some of its competition. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the 2017 Audi Q3. I'm Rob. This is the test drive. Please like and comment on this video below. Let me know your thoughts, and please subscribe to my channel. That does help me make more videos. Also, please follow me on Instagram at TheTestDriveNY. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys again soon.